It's Tom's favorite thing.
In any other circumstance, that would make me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, but you're just sick with love, baby.
I'm sick of something.
Welcome to Friends Living Well. I'm the little shit, Kelsey. I'm a BCBA. And this is Tommy Alderson. He's our producer and editor. He actually has his own podcast, Irrelevant and Illiterate, so you should go follow that in addition to our podcast. This is a production of Full Living Wellness, which is a private practice that offers telehealth therapy in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida. Reach out to us if you need some therapy services. We provide a wide variety of things, so go check out our website. Yeah, we're back for another. Are you
Another one.
Are we gonna open that on? Yeah.
See, he got excited too.
This is a very ASMR
whoever that was
starting episode. Was who cares? Yeah, it's we're glad to be back. We're in the studio, and the studio being my house. We are not in the Full Living Wellness studio or the Friends Living Well studio.
This was the first Full Living Well.
Twas
Friends Living Well studio, actually.
Studios. Twas. Yeah, we're coming at you with some super weird energy that I really enjoy. Nikita is under the weather, and we're hoping that she's going to be feeling better soon. If you're wondering about that, listen to the previous episode where we kind of explain how life is life-in.
Yeah.
Life be life in 2025. Chill the fuck out.
One historical event after another.
Yeah, for real. Chill the fuck out. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of Trump. Also fuck ICE. Anyway, this is going to be a very ABA heavy episode because I want to talk about it, and it's fun for me to talk about. And I have the perfect audience, a man who adores me and will let me yap endlessly for hours.
And I am, if one thing above all, it is curious.
He's so curious. So yeah, we are going to be talking about a lot of hot topics in ABA. Especially on TikTok. I would like to be more active on TikTok just on an individual level, because I think it's like a really fun place for discussion about these topics because people are really interested in them.
I also like about TikTok is they, as an app, whether it's run by a government entity or not, the app itself seems to promote people creating things. Yeah. They have editing tools built into the app. Like, of course, they want you to use their software and use their songs and their version of CapCut or whatever. But it seems as though, from my editing perspective and like just consumer perspective, that it seems to reward people for like winging it and like making their own thing. Yeah. Hence, like the whole, like when TikTok exploded in 2020, there were dance trends going around of people.
Oh yeah.
Just, copying each other, using the same song over and over. And artists have like come out of obscurity damn near just because a song gets like, it just catches on TikTok.
Yeah. Like Kate, what's her face?
Kate Bush. Stranger Things more so did that.
No, that's what I was referencing. Was that Stranger Things made her song really popular, so then everybody was using it in reels, and this was not what I was intending to talk about, but they're using it in reels, and it actually made her real money that she really needed as an older adult.
Enya, is coming back around at some point soon because that a song of hers anyway. Exploded on
literally not what I was going to talk about. What I was going to say was ABA. These are some of my favorite creators on TikTok that I've been following what they've been talking about, and I really like what they're saying.
ABA people?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
That was what I was going to say. So the things that like people that I'm really following that I really enjoy a lot of their conversation. My friend Lauren Haley, she's an autistic BCBA. You can follow her at Better Care LLC. She posts a lot of really interesting stuff about how she is practicing as an ABA provider that is pretty contradictory to how we were trained as ABA providers 10, 15 years ago. So Lauren's really awesome. I've really been following, there is somebody that I follow that is working in schools. I'm going to have to look her up. We can put them in the bio or whatever if I can think of their names. But there's a couple people on these apps that have really been creating a lot of thought-provoking questions about like ABA practices that I think are really, really relevant questions, because every time you Google ABA, there's so many people in the comments talking about how harmful it can be and how it can be abusive. And I think that any type of therapeutic approach that originates focusing mostly on compliance is scary and it's worth criticizing. So yeah, I'm going to give you my list. Tom's going to ask me a couple questions. So I'm going to give you my list of ABA things that I find spooky and not spooky, since at the time we're recording this, it's around Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Tis the season.
Tis the season to talk about ABA and shit. So do you want to
get us scared? Well, actually, I want to
sure.
Like, because of how you like even got this ball rolling. Mm-hmm. What is if this is somebody's first episode?
Oh yeah.
And if you're not a practicing therapist, or
you're using the right words,
mental health practitioner, if you will.
Yeah.
What is ABA?
So ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. Mm-hmm. The global term that is used is behavior analysis, and it is basically a behavioral science that analyzes how the environment affects how often behavior occurs. And it is not just behavior of autistics or disabled people. It could be behavior of everybody.
Yeah, it's people, period.
It's people, period. And so there is behavior analysis as this big umbrella term, which basically you analyze environmental things that impact or influence behavior, and you pick up patterns and themes so you can figure out how to make certain behaviors happen more and other behaviors happen less.
Okay. This all sounds like a logical sort of practice to a lay person like myself, but every time you've mentioned it, even in moments ago, in comment sections, or even in, God forbid, job postings, when you're like out there in the world, there's like sounds like there's like a stigma of ABA, like it's a 4-letter word or something.
Yeah.
But why is that?
Yeah, I think it's because this is a fairly, in terms of like scientific methods, it's a fairly new scientific method. Like this wasn't implemented and heavily researched until like the 1960s, or I mean, applied behavior analysis, which is really a term that applies to like working with like therapeutically working with individuals that need support with functional communication and social skills and things like that. Those terms weren't married together until I want to say maybe like 60s, 70s. Behavioral principles were being researched by old white guys that were psychologists for a while, but it's a fairly new science. And in its first application, it was not kosher. Like a lot of the application was inappropriate. It was abusive. It was upsetting for the individuals that were experiencing it, which in one of the questions Tom's going to ask me, I'll actually kind of tie it together with that model. But initially when it was being researched, it was being applied, that's the A, one of the A's, applied typically with the disabled population, the autistic population. And in its applications, it was not honoring the autistic experience. The goal was to essentially make that person look less disabled or less autistic. And that is the origins of ABA. And that is why people criticize it so much.
Okay, so like total professional experience aside, me and you are just two people now.
Yeah.
Like off the record, is that just people parroting things that they've heard or read before and they don't actually know?
I think that there's a lot of autistics that have experienced ABA that have had negative experiences and have commented and are sharing those experiences. So I think the answer is a little bit of, I think the answer is there are autistic voices that should be heard in this based on their experiences. However, there also are people that have never seen an ABA session, have never been in the field, have never, but this can be applied to anything, right? Like, look at any comment section. There are people that don't.
I try not to.
Yeah, that don't have lived experiences that comment on lived experiences just based on what they've briefly seen in a TikTok video. So it's one of those things, and this is what's so dangerous about the internet is it cannot capture the nuanced conversations that are required when we're talking about these things.
Yeah. And the worst part is that like 90% of any comment section could be made up.
Yeah.
Some people will just say anything to just say stuff. And some people are even bots, And
I think my mindset in this is that I am extremely hesitant to, anytime I see somebody speaking in absolutes, I'm extremely cautious of that, right? So if I see somebody saying that, like I saw a comment the other day that said, change the name, get rid of the name ABA. And you can't do that because it's the literal science. It's not the way that is probably framed in their mind is that ABA is this abusive thing that happens to people. Whereas really it's actually a scientific approach. So it's not ABA, like it's not like somebody made up this thing to abuse autistics. It's a scientific term. Right. So you can't change the name. And I also saw somebody speak in absolutes basically saying ABA equals compliance and you should never use ABA because it's rooted in compliance and compliance is abuse.
But that just can't be entirely true.
I think that, again, I will say this till, my dying breath. There are so many ABA practices that need to be fixed. There are so many applications that need to be changed. Like, I will never stop saying that, but I will never speak in absolutes and say it is bad, period.
I hate to get on my damn soapbox, but the same thing can be applied to joining a union trade.
I think the reason why it's such a hot topic is because the difference about that versus ABA is that it changes people's lives. It changes their behavior. It is a therapeutic method that is utilized with a marginalized group that at times cannot advocate for themselves. And so we have to be really cautious about how we are helping people.
Yeah.
Because it's
delicate.
It's very delicate and it's very nuanced. And that's why, it's to me, a curiosity mindset is super helpful. And I think that when I hear a criticism like that, I become curious. Whereas I think many other BCBAs and even RBTs are the one-to-one direct support staff that are supervised by BCBAs. If they hear those things and immediately become defensive, that makes me curious. So I think that if we as a field and myself as a BCBA, we could do a lot better job of being curious about people's criticisms.
I guess I was just trying to relate it in a way that like people hear this word and they're like,
yeah,
bad.
correct. That is
because they either A, know somebody who had a bad experience with it before.
Yes.
Or B, don't know.
And they read something on the internet, and and I think that like if I'm going to get real fucking meta for a second, like the relational frame that people have about ABA, the relational frame is ABA equals bad. It's this idea that it can only be this one thing. And I think that my perspective is that ABA can be multiple things, and I feel comfortable with ambiguity and nuance and layers of complexity where other people don't, and I think that that's really challenging cognitively to people. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said, but I do think we could do a lot better job, like as BCBAs, being curious about people's defensiveness. When
people are told they're wrong about something, or rather they're shown that they're wrong, they don't really like having their mind open.
Yeah. So can you actually write that down as maybe a clip?
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, there's that. That's why I think, I don't know. I don't even remember your fucking question.
It was, what is the stigma?
Yeah. So there's some stigma for good reason. So yeah, I think it's worth talking about. So maybe you should bring up some of your questions.
Yeah, we're going to do a little back and forth today.
Yeah. And I think we could actually start with, this one here because it ties directly into the stigma.
So we're going to do, as we said before, we're going to do a little spooky, not spooky, the ABA version. So we're going to start with the 40-hour ABA model.
Spooky as hell. Very spooky.
You touched on it to me, like just between me and you before again, but refresh me. What is it?
Yeah. So the 40-hour model is basically the medical model of ABA, which is when you are diagnosed with autism, if you're lucky enough to be diagnosed at a young age, one of the recommendations is that you get behavioral assistance. You get applied behavior analysis therapy. And typically that's provided in a certain number of hours per week. So the 40-hour model is this model that most big private equity backed agencies, so like these really big agencies like ABA Centers of America or whatever, is the kind of the standard of selecting hours for children. So they might say, here's a 2-year-old that just got diagnosed, or here's a 10-year-old who just got diagnosed, and this is how many hours of ABA they need a week to make progress.
The agency decides this.
Yes.
Spooky.
It's spooky, and the reason why it's spooky is because actually what the 40-hour model is based on is actually based on research by this guy named Lovas. He did a study in 1987 that essentially, there's so many bad things that happened with this study. This intention of the study was to provide a certain number of hours of behavior analytic therapy to children to help them be indistinguishable from their peers. So basically, I want to make this kid look less autistic, and this is how I can do it. And a lot of his methodologies is very much rooted in compliance. So it was like, sit in this chair, and when the kid sits in the chair, he would like put food in their mouth for reinforcement. And then if they made an error, he might slap them on the thigh as a correction or punishment so they wouldn't do that again. So very abusive. And that is what our fucking medical model is based on, is that study in 1987 that nobody has been able to replicate since it's happened. And so you might get an agency, and this is for any parents that might be listening, if you get an agency that arbitrarily assigns like a really high number of hours or says you have to get this many hours with us for us to serve you, that would be spooky, scary, red flag for me.
Yeah, because an agency cannot just from my outsider perspective, I don't see how an agency can just throw throw an assignment to a kid that they don't know.
Right, and it's supposed to be based off of an assessment. Like when you're assessing and then you're selecting number of hours, it's supposed to be based on what that person needs support with. And so sometimes there are people that don't need that many hours. Also, in my almost 10 years of being a BCBA, I have never seen a child receive 40 hours a week.
It's too many.
35 is the most I've seen. And even that was way too high. That's essentially a full-time job.
Yeah, I think even when we were going to public school, were we even in school for 40 hours?
I don't know. I would have to do the math, like 7.5 hours a day for 5 days. Still,
I don't know.
Developmentally, that's not appropriate for a lot of children, because the other thing that we're negating in that 40-hour model is like nap time, meals, things like that. Yeah. So
God forbid, like a neurodivergent child.
Yeah, so that's scary. The 40-hour model is scary. It's a huge reason why I will never work for a big PE-backed agency, because I do not believe that is providing high-quality care.
No.
Yeah.
It's crap. Okay.
Spooky crap.
Some more spooky, not spooky.
ABA edition.
ABA edition. Discrete trial training.
Okay. DTT.
What is that?
DTT is what we love, a fucking acronym in our field.
DTT. Spooky or not spooky?
This is a hard one because I think it can have its time and place. And I think that people need to be a little more flexible in their mindset of what it looks like. So when DTT is brought up, and what typically comes to mind is we are breaking down highly complex skills into tiny itty bitty little pieces, and then we're teaching it with repetition. So what Lovaas was doing was he was sitting kids at tables, mind you, like 3 and 4 year olds, making them sit at tables for extended periods of time, and then he would present trials of skills over and over and over and over again in order to teach that person a skill. So it's very rote. It's very compliance based in you need to sit at the chair. You need to answer these questions in order to get reinforcement.
What is rote?
Rote is like...
Is that ROTE?
Yeah, it's like repetitive. It's not individualized responding. It's like responding based on a script.
Mechanical or habitual repetition.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's many people's criticism. And that's where it's tied to the stigma, because when people think of ABA, they think of Lovaas, and then they think of DTT. And if you are actually if you have a very strong conceptual understanding of the science, you will be able to figure out that anything is a discrete trial. If you're presenting an SD, a response happens and you either provide reinforcement or you don't. So anything, you don't have to sit at a table and be quizzed over and over again for something to be a discrete trial. Like, I could literally say, like, what is this? What is it? What is it?
Dog or bird.
Great. It is. That was a fucking discrete trial.
Cool.
Because I prompted an SD. What is it? He offered me a response, and then I provided reinforcement in the form of verbal feedback. That's fucking DTT. You don't have to make a kid sit at a table and be robotic and shove cards in their face. Yeah. But I do think that for some learners that benefit from high repetition and very broken down skills, it can be helpful, but only if you are honoring their sensory preferences. You're letting them move when they need to move, like all of these things. So I want to.
Okay, you sound a little tight for a second.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm just breathing. I'm just getting excited, you guys.
Gotcha. You're amped up.
Fucking amped up right now.
Yeah, fully charged up.
Yeah, so I'm going to say I'm in between. It can be spooky.
Okay. Sounds like it can be for sure.
I think that's going to be a lot of my answers for these is that they can be spooky if they're misapplied, and oftentimes they are misapplied.
Well, then they'll get a spooky, not spooky Venn diagram maybe.
I like that.
Now, let's do some more. How about token economies?
So this is what I struggle with because I think so. Token economies. How about I explain it first, and then I will give you my thoughts. A token economy is essentially think like a star chart. Think there's like a thing that has 5 stars on it, and you have to earn stars by engaging in a specific behavior. And once you get all your stars, then you can cash them in for something else, right? So
like a like a frequent buyer punch card.
it's just like a punch card,
Gotcha.
but it's more immediate. So it happens as soon as the behavior happens, and then it needs to be cashed in relatively quickly in order for the person to truly understand the reason why they're earning the star. This is a highly criticized approach because a lot of the time what the person is exchanging the stars for is like break from work. And you should never have a learner have to earn a break. If they are done and they do not have capacity and they are withdrawing assent, it stops there. But for a lot of people, they use it for compliance. So when you follow directions, when you keep your hands to yourself, you earn these stars. And then when you have 5 stars, you can cash it in for other stuff.
A break. Imagine.
I know. Right. So again,
I have to go to the bathroom. I need one more star.
Yeah, exactly. It's that stigma,
Yikes.
right? But I think the tough thing is like I never want to say this is bad and it's only bad. And I think
you can there can be positive reward systems, I guess, right?
I think that the thing that is really highly criticized for good reason about this is that should not be the person's only source of reinforcement. We should be building an individual's capacity to access like reinforcement in their natural environment. Like we should be creating the reinforcement. We should be connecting with that person. We should be engaging with them, and we should make things reinforcing. We shouldn't have to add in a contrived reinforcer. Like that's what a lot of the BCBAs are, talking about on TikTok and things like that. Like they'll say, I hate token economies. And I think that honestly is like really fair. But then I also work with a population where I have seen that those things can be helpful in addition to other things. I wouldn't ever use it by itself. So, and I think that part of my caution in saying I don't know and like maybe it's spooky, maybe it's not, is I was also trained to use those things. So sometimes when I think about these concepts, I'm like, am I being rigid? Like maybe I just don't have maybe I need to learn a different skill so that way I don't use a token economy.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah. So I think like that's also the other hard part about like talking about this topic and the stigma is it puts me as a BCBA in a place of uncomfortability where I have to like relearn how to do what I do. And I think that that's really hard.
Yeah.
So I think that token economies can actually be super duper spooky. But I do feel that there could be a time and place for them.
You just mentioned this before. So my next spooky, not spooky, is going to be reinforcing assent withdrawal. What is that?
Not spooky.
Not spooky.
Not spooky. It's something we should always do. So assent is basically a person indicating to you. Now, let me look up a definition before I totally butcher this, but
I'm going to wing it, and I'm going off of the suffix. Is it like the opposite of dissent?
yes. So basically, it's like expressing approval. It's it's being agreeable to what's going on. So when we always want to reinforce assent withdrawal, because if an individual is non-speaking and we are working on improving communication, whether it's like gestures, utterances, AAC, we want to reinforce assent withdrawal because that person is telling us, I don't agree with this and I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And when we don't reinforce assent withdrawal, then really big unsafe behaviors can happen, because that person is then, think of it, it's basically like you're being told that you have a need and you have a physical need, and you're basically saying, don't meet your physical need, do this instead. Earn 5 stars and then you can take a break. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, how horrible is that? How terrible of a feeling is that? So we always want to, as soon as we start seeing, somebody pulling away, they say no, they become tense, or maybe they engage in like repetitive scripts that maybe, we're repeating something and it sounds like we're becoming, dysregulated. Those are times where we want to say, yep, okay, I see you, I hear you, let me meet your regulation need. So reinforcing assent withdrawal is not spooky. Not spooky.
It just sounded like
it. Just sounds spooky.
Next thing, hand over hand prompting.
Spooky as fuck.
What is it? Hand over hand. Huh?
Hand over hand prompting is a physical prompting method, and typically is used when teaching a new skill, or has been used when teaching a new skill. So for example, if I'm teaching somebody to brush their teeth for the first time and they're unsure how to do it, then I might take their hand and I might make their hand do the thing. Mm-hmm. That is really spooky, because you're essentially forcing the person to do the thing you want them to do. And if you are bigger, stronger, older, it's very easy for somebody in a position of power to do that with a marginalized group. And it can also create prompt dependence. So it which basically means that they are not able to engage and demonstrate the skill independently or interdependently, like with the support of another person. So I've worked with many individuals that this approach has been used, and because that approach has been used, when we get to when we start the task, we just stand there and we wait for the prompt. So hand over hand prompting is something that I would very, 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 very rarely use. And if I were to do it, I would actually use hand under hand prompting, which would look like me maybe coming here and then supporting the individual. If they needed more assistance, like if they have fine motor difficulties, shout out OTs, I might try and support them in getting a different grip. But if they pull their hand away, or if they say no, that's assent withdrawal, and I'm going to say, okay.
Good, yeah.
Right? So, hand over hand prompting was something that I was taught to do. Like, if somebody wasn't doing what I asked them to do that they were supposed to be doing, it would be like, no, sit in the chair. Sit in the chair like this. Let me show you how to sit in the chair. And it would be a physical prompt. And when I was taught those approaches, that type of prompting, I was working in an environment where I saw the most severe behaviors I will ever see. And it was because that is a very compliance-based approach. And when we only focus on compliance and we don't honor the individual's autonomy, bad shit goes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a neurospicy person could be very physically reactive, or who knows.
Think about if that guy in the accident we were in came and tried to physically remove you from the car when you were agitated. What do you think would have happened? Bad shit.
I think I would have put him in a mailbox.
Correct. So equate that, it's the same thing, but again, because, we this has started from a place of me, Lovas, I know better than everybody. This is how we do it. And I am kind of like, I am scapegoating him. Like it's not just Lovas, but like it's his study was like this big study that really shaped the field in a lot of different ways. And for some reason it continues to linger.
Just can't shake it, man.
Yeah, because to go back to the 40-hour model, that's also a great money-making model, right? If we assign and prescribe more hours, then me agency get more money.
Right.
So even if kid not need 40
times how many kids? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. You got to be careful when we're doing something that profits off of marginalized groups.
Yeah, you gotta
really scary shit can happen.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. Next one. Spooky, not spooky. Extinction bursts.
Spooky. They can be really spooky.
What is an extinction burst?
So, the technical definition of extinction is when we no longer provide reinforcement for a previously reinforced response. For example, if an individual so let's do like the grocery store example. When you take your kid to the grocery store, if they have laid on the ground and tantrumed because they wanted candy, and then you gave them candy, that has reinforced tantruming, hypothetically, if they wanted the candy.
Yeah.
And then if we go to the grocery store again and we decide, you know what, I don't want to get you candy this time. What happens is the response no longer receives reinforcement, and then the behavior increases in intensity like crazy. So during extinction bursts, you really see a lot of big responses. And it's spooky because we never want to be in a position in which we are evoking these extinction bursts, right? Like we don't want to be in a situation in which we're like, you have to do this, or I'm never going to give you this thing because I don't want to reinforce your behavior. If we're seeing a lot of extinction bursts, then something's going wrong here. Like we need to be super curious. Like, why is there such a big response? Like, what are you saying? What are you doing with this person that's having a big response? So again, the place that I had worked that I saw tons of extinction bursts all the time was a very compliance focused program. It's not to say that they'll never happen. Sometimes they happen. And sometimes it's a thing that's kind of unavoidable. But the other thing that I notice a lot of the time with an extinction burst is that sometimes they happen because it's not clear to the individual why something has changed. And I usually equate it to gambling. So like when you go and you sit at the penny slots or whatever, and you pull the bar, you never know when you're going to hit the jackpot. You don't know when you're going to get reinforcement. So if the individual feels or is unable to determine, because maybe they haven't been explained why this is happening, if they don't know when reinforcement is coming and they don't know why maybe they haven't received the reinforcement that they previously have,
they're just going to keep trying.
Yeah, and that would be confusing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're like, but like, Mom, like 7 out of 8 times I got the candy bar, but now I don't. Why?
Yeah. Or like 10 out of 100 times.
Right. Right. And that is what, so extinction can happen naturally as you change routines, as you change approaches, which is a very natural part of life. But they can be really challenging for the individual. And so that's, again, I want to be really curious. A lot of the conversations I have with parents is if we are determining that there's something that's like a non-negotiable, right? Like say it's safety. If you want to run in the street and there's cars, I absolutely cannot let you do that. But if you've gotten reinforcement for it before, and then I change my approach, an extinction burst is likely going to happen because again, it's unclear. So a lot of what I work with parents on is like, how can we create more predictable responses consistently? And then how can we forewarn the person that I am changing my response? So we can maybe prevent those things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We got a couple more.
Did I break your brain with that one?
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
Now another spooky, not spooky, teaching emotional regulation.
Not spooky.
Sounds not coming out of my mouth. Sounds not spooky.
Not spooky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a broken record with this, and I think that this is something I've learned as, I've been a BCBA for almost 10 years. The longer I do this, the more I realize that we are, as a field, we're not taught how to teach emotional regulation. We were not taught to acknowledge emotional regulation very well. And so that goes hand in hand with like the extinction burst thing. If I'm doing a good job helping an individual gain skills or engage in co-regulation more often, then maybe those extinction burst type behaviors wouldn't happen because I'm meeting the emotional need and I'm teaching you how to handle your emotions or I'm handling them with you. Right. So if and this is actually going to go hand in hand with the next one, which is planned ignoring, which is spooky, because a lot of what we were taught as ABA professionals is if a big behavior is happening, don't pay attention to it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't say stop doing that. Don't respond, because attention is reinforcement. Mm-hmm. And so our so much of our compliance-based training was withhold attention for behaviors because you don't want to reinforce the behavior. You don't want to make it happen in the future, which is crazy because when you ignore somebody, you are ignoring their emotional needs and you are not helping them regulate. Like imagine again, it's basically what happened with us in our car accident. We were the only ones paying attention to each other. Nobody paid any attention to us in our time of need, and we felt really alone. That's essentially the same thing. An autistic or disabled person is having a big response or having a really hard time with something, and our training said, don't do anything. Don't pay attention to it. Let them cry. So that's a little spooky. Planned ignoring is spooky.
Very spooky.
Yeah.
You want to maybe kind of lightning round these last two because they sound really related to stuff we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Earning breaks. Spooky or not spooky?
Fucking spooky as shit.
It sounds very spooky. It sounds
super duper spooky.
It sounds a lot like not just extinction burst, but token economies.
Yeah. Exactly. Very similar to token economies.
Sounds very relative.
And it goes hand in hand with like earning sensory input or sensory breaks.
Yeah, that was the next one. Earning sensory input.
Yeah, earning breaks, earning sensory input is spooky as fuck. Again, Lovas and other professionals, part of the initial applications of applied behavior analysis was that we would try and reduce or eliminate sensory behaviors like stimming. So if a little, if an individual was excited about something and they were hand flapping, going like this, they would say, oh, we need to get rid of that. We need to stop that. And that was a lot of our training because, again, it's coming from this idea of, it's this like medical model of disability where it says disability is something that needs to be treated or cured instead of the social model of disability, which is basically like the world is not built for us. We're going to continue to exist and acknowledge us and support us where we are.
Is like a physical stim, like just for example, like isn't that something that like makes the individual feel comfortable?
Yes. Yeah. So
why would you want to?
Because, and again, I don't want to say we didn't know because I don't think that that's a good explanation for why we did this. But I think that the reason that I have changed my approach and I've learned more about it is because of like interdisciplinary collaboration with occupational therapists and speech therapists and physical therapists that have taught me and taught us, and autistics themselves have taught us this. They need stimming to be regulated, to calm themselves, to express excitement, to express joy. There's so many reasons why stimming happens. We all do it. some more subtle than others.
You'll notice if you really watch these episodes, sometimes you'll see me doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
I'm simming right now.
Yeah. Tom needs a lot of physical movement to focus. So I've noticed that about you, is that when we're really trying to focus on something, like he likes to keep his hands busy, or he likes to move around.
I gotta do something to keep my mind from thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
How weird is that?
Actually, it being weird would be the medical model of disability, honey. It's not weird at all.
Not spooky.
It's not spooky. It's just something your body and your brain needs.
Yeah. I have to be doing something in order to like quell these physical stims so that my brain can focus.
Yeah, and that's
so interesting.
That's what we've learned. Autistics have done a really good job of teaching us that. So have other disciplines have taught us that. And so that is, if you are a parent who is just received a diagnosis for, your child, look at that. Take that. Look at the programming that your child might receive. Make sure that these people are honoring their sensory needs. If they need to wear headphones to reduce noise, that should be given to them without earning it. I have a family that I'm working with. I just started working with, where that has been their main complaint about the school system that their child is in, is that...
Are they restrictive or something?
They're restricting access to the headphones.
Christ almighty.
And I truly couldn't tell you why. But again, when you are in a position of power, your concept of disability is coming from this medical model of like it needs to be treated or it needs to be cured. You're going to look at this and you're saying, no, you don't need that. Learn to live without it.
That is a classic example of fucking higher ups who don't know a thing about what's going on, making decisions for those people.
Correct. But it could be somebody that's a paraprofessional. It could be a BCBA. It could be anybody, right?
It really is the same across all industries.
Yes. So it's, you should never have to earn sensory input. And again, like, listen to autistic voices on this. I'm not the person that should be like on the soapbox telling you this. I want you to listen to autistic voices like Kaelynnvp. She's an autistic behavior therapist. She wrote a book. She was on what was that? There was a Netflix dating show, Dating on the Spectrum. Love her.
Love on the Spectrum?
Yes, Love on the Spectrum. Yeah, I love Kaelynn. There's so many autistic creators out there that you should really be listening to if you really want to learn more about this. But in my practice as a BCBA, I believe that you should never withhold sensory input, and it goes along with discrete trial training. If a person has a difficult time sitting in a chair, don't sit in the chair. You can consume information. You can practice new skills without sitting. You can jump around. You can bounce around, right? So yeah, that shouldn't be earned. Breaks shouldn't be earned. If somebody is expressing assent withdrawal, they're becoming tense. They're saying no. They're moving away. They're looking away. They're bringing up different subjects. That's a hint. They don't want to be, they're not agreeable. They don't want to participate. And so we need to use that as a vehicle to teach them, if they need it, how to advocate for themselves. So this is something that I see a lot with like new people in the field, or people that haven't been supervised before, that they will hold a demand no matter what. They think the goal is, I say to do this and you do this. Whereas a BCBA that is learning from other disciplines and is really, honoring the experience of the individual, they would actually be prompting communication and allowing that person to exit the situation. They would model it for them. They would say, oh, look, you turned away. Oh, your body's tense. That's telling me you don't want to do this anymore. We're all done. And we model it. If we do that enough, that person is eventually going to be like saying all done.
Not spooky.
So we want to teach functional communication. We should be intervening during precursor behaviors. So before behaviors really explode, before dysregulation really occurs at a high level, you should be looking at your learner and really being identifying and defining these things that happen before big behaviors occur, so you can encourage them to advocate for themselves, meet that sensory need, and support them in that. If they can't advocate for themselves, you need to advocate for them. So learn your learners, learn their precursor behaviors. The best written behavior plans and the best interventions are going to be ones that like honor their autonomy. Big behaviors don't happen, and it's not compliance based. So yeah, spooky, not spooky.
Not spooky.
That was a really good, like, those were really good questions, I think, that are really big hot topics in ABA right now.
This was fun.
Yeah, it's interesting to for me to dive deep on some of this behavior analytics stuff, because I don't think we do it a lot on the podcast. But, you know, I'll always be the first to admit and acknowledge that a lot of my training was in this like compliance-based methodology, and I've been learning and unlearning new approaches. So, you know, if you are no longer using token economies, you're using different approaches, like tell me what you're doing. I would love to learn. I'll be the first one to say, I'm not perfect. I'm a person, a flawed human being, and, you know, I can learn too. So I think we should all be learners and help each other out. So yeah, ABA does have a stigma, but I think it can be used in a really wonderful, beautiful way that really helps people.
Seems like it. Yeah,
you just have to get good supervision, and that is really lacking. So, you know, Sarahburby does a lot with mind-body behavior. They do supervision through her agency. We have a ton of really highly equipped remote supervisors that are really going to help you with these things. Even in non-autism, she actually specializes in that area as non-autism approaches to behavior analysis. So yeah, definitely check her out. And I do provide supervision through Full Living Wellness. So if you're a student analyst or a trainee, or you're a BCBA and you're just looking for some mentorship, like hit us up. Hit me up.
Website is right here. Right where you found this podcast. In theory.
So yeah, hopefully we can put some of those ABA concepts to bed for at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're gonna tag a couple people in the whatever it's called, in the description, people that I think that you should follow, autistic voices that you should be listening to.
Big up.
We'll do that. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, give us a follow, comment. It really means a lot, and we're going to be more consistent going into the new year. So
lots of fun stuff.
So thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, I like that. See you later.
Bye.